Hello, everybody. We are here with Jessica and Rachel from 100 Days of Trailhead, here to just really tell us about themselves. So this is a YouTube collaboration that we are throwing out here to learn more about each other. So Jessica and Rachel, how are you all doing today?
Great. How are you
Good.
doing?
Not too bad. I'm off this week and I'm just hanging out, coasting by. So, really excited to have you all on the channel. Thank you so much for taking the time out to hang out and talk about yourselves. I know it can be a little bit awkward, but you do have to gush about yourself a little bit. So let's get started here. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Murphy, and this is Rachel Watson. Hello. And we are Salesforce MVPs. We are the co-founders of Women in Tech Developers. We are co-founders of 100 Days of Trailhead, and we are co-founders of Phoenix Salesforce Saturday. So yeah, we do a lot of stuff around the community, and one of those things is 100 Days of Trailhead, something that we love doing. This is a labor of love to help the community.
Awesome. Wow, that sounds like a lot of stuff you all have going on over there. We'll have to dive into them. They probably need their own, let's say, video series for each of those different titles. But I think one thing that people want to know is how you all got started in Salesforce. So Rachel, let's hear from you. How'd you get started?
Well, we actually kind of started this journey together, to be honest with
Oh,
you.
wow.
So since the very beginning, we both came from two different areas, and we decided that we wanted to get into tech. So I came from educational sales, and Jessica was a sign language interpreter and sign language instructor. So we decided that we wanted to go into tech. Now, we didn't know exactly what that meant. We were just trying to figure out like what did we really want to do. So we started exploring. And Jessica is a huge researcher, so she was all over the internet trying to figure out like what avenues there might be and everything. And so we went to a lot of meetups, a lot of different like gatherings, like a GoDaddy and a variety of other things. So we got
Hmm.
exposed to a wide variety of tech. And along the way, we went to this what was that?
It was a startup event,
Oh, that's right.
and there was a woman there from Women Who Code who said, "I love teaching women to code." I was within earshot of it. She not notice she did not say it to me. I was
Hmm.
just in earshot, and I was so excited that when Rachel had gone somewhere, she came back, and I was like, "Go and meet that lady."
So she's really shy. Most people don't think that, but
Yeah.
she's incredibly shy. And I was like, okay, sure, let's go. So I walk up to the lady and I introduce myself. I explain what happened. Jessica did not walk with me. I had to bring the lady back to her and
Uh-oh.
them. And but that was kind of the impetus. It was, I guess, like our permission slip to enter into tech as women.
Mhm.
And that started our exploration as to how we were going to approach it. So we started going to girl development meetings. We started going to women who code meetings, and we, along our journey, we decided that we were going to go to a Ruby on Rails hackathon when we'd never seen Ruby on Rails,
Hmm.
because, well, that sounded like a good idea. um, we got invited and we were like, we might as well give it a go. We know we're not going to win. That's not the
Hmm.
whole objective here, but we're going to try. So by lunch, we were reevaluating our life's choices. However, however, we reminded ourselves that we came here to learn something, and I looked at Jessica. I said, "We are learning something, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, we've learned stuff." So we continued on for the rest of the day for that. So spoiler alert, we didn't win,
Hmm.
but it was fun, and we did come away with something. And then later on, we were in a girl development meeting,
Mhm.
and a lady that was a Salesforce professional, she mentioned that there is a Salesforce workshop that was free. It was like free works for me. I like
Yeah.
that. You know, and we already did a dine-in demo, so we already had a taste of what Salesforce might be able to do. I was pretty interested coming from a sales background. I was like, yeah, this makes sense. You know, let me check it out. And I drugged Jessica with me. She was in the middle of a JavaScript boot camp. She had just got this woman is crazy. She went to a Ruby on Rails boot camp and then back to back, literally, there wasn't even a day break, got into a JavaScript boot camp, and it's the hardest JavaScript boot camp in the nation. But she was awesome with that. And then, so she was over there doing her JavaScript homework while it was going on. Take over.
Okay, so we were at this big workshop, 2-day workshop, and I'm doing my JavaScript homework, and this presenter was Chris Duarte, who is the, over Trailhead, right?
Right.
And so she's presenting and she's talking about Trailhead. And I love what you said when we interviewed you, that there was already, what she was explaining is that there was already this platform in existence, right? And all you have to do is customize it and make it applicable to the organization that you're working with. And I was so excited by the idea that I just stopped with my JavaScript homework. I knew that Salesforce was what I was going to do. I finished boot camp and continued. She actually stopped going. She left her graduate program to go into Salesforce. So we knew after Chris Duarte talked to us about Salesforce, it was over. We knew that was going to be our career path, and we've been doing it ever since.
Wow. Yeah, what I'd say inspiring and really incredible story. Like, you all kind of like made huge changes from where you originally were, in education and teaching and sales, to making this whole big leap into tech in general, which is a huge field, a huge area. And so even on that front, taking the time to learn to code, going through these boot camps and all of that kind of stuff, that takes a huge amount of resolve and resilience, because it's confusing, it's hard in the beginning, and if you don't stick with it, you won't reap the benefits at the end of it. So that's really inspiring for a lot of people that are maybe in a similar situation or halfway through their one boot camp. And this is not just applicable to Salesforce at all. It's to anything, even in tech, there's going to be hard parts as you go along through it. And if it's important to you, important enough, and you think it's the right path, just stick with it. And the sky's the limit from there on. So that's super cool. How you all kind of, went down that path. So I kind of want to, we talked about how you got started. Where are you working now? How's that kind of working out for the both of you?
All right. So I work with Accenture, and I work in an architecture capacity. It switches from project to project, what kind of roles I have, but that's generally what I do.
Nice.
And I'm a little bit different. I actually am an independent consultant. So before I went to boot camp, I got a master's degree in education, in adult education and training. So what I primarily do is I work with organizations and I help them in terms of training Salesforce. So I've kind of matched my educational background as well as my knowledge of Salesforce. And I also am an independent consultant. So I work primarily with small businesses and nonprofits.
Nice. That is really cool. And you guys definitely worked your way up from just, not knowing anything to being an architect, and even being an independent consultant. You have to know something about it to actually do it, to get some clients, right?
Yes.
And especially on the teaching front, you can't really, well, you can try to teach something if you don't know it, but people won't keep coming back unless you know something about it.
Right. And the minute you don't know something, someone's going to ask you a really hard question. So, I mean, it's
that specific question.
Right.
You don't know.
It's impossible to know everything, but there's always these magical words. Let me find the best way to do this, and I'll get back with you.
Let's table that till the next meeting so I can look it up. So you guys made a career switch, which was really cool. But if you weren't working in Salesforce now, what would you be doing?
Well, I mean, are we talking working, or what would I be doing?
Let's say if you had to work first, and then maybe we'll get into if you didn't have to work.
Okay. If I had to work, if I wasn't working in Salesforce, honestly, I would probably be figuring out what kind of nonprofits to dedicate my time to, or coming up with some sort of foundation of my own that I can launch and help people, because that's just what I'm about.
Cool.
I look for issues, problems in the world, and seek out to try to solve those. So like throughout our entire Salesforce career from the very beginning, we started Salesforce Saturday when we were almost brand spanking new. Just to have a place for people to come together to share knowledge. And since then, everything that we have done, from Salesforce Saturday to Women in Tech Developers, WIT Devs, to 100 Days of Trailhead, we are constantly working on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and trying to remove those barriers for people, because if we're really honest, there's a lot of barriers out there.
Yep.
To education and to careers such as tech careers. So everything that we do, we try to figure out ways to remove those barriers as much as we possibly can, so people have an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's kind of a hard question. It's exactly what she said. I would probably be working at a nonprofit. I am a big fan. I dedicate almost everything I do to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I probably would be in one of those types of roles, maybe. Also, there's another part of me that thinks I would be a writer, and I would write the next great novel, and it would be fantastic, and it would be a bestseller. That's the other part of my brain.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna get into that right now. So if you didn't need to work at all, what would you do? Because I think you're going down that writer path. Because I want you to be a bestseller.
Okay. So in my best world, I would be retired, and living somewhere where I would have the beach accessible regularly, and I would write and write and write. And I think that would be just so much fun.
Yeah. Any specific genres?
Oh, I am a big fantasy person, big sci-fi person. So, I'm always thinking in those terms. My favorite authors are those authors. So, of course, it would be like my favorite genre. I mean, I do know that nonfiction books make more money, but man, fiction is the best, right?
I'm about fiction as well.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
And for me, if I was able to do anything where I didn't have to work and I didn't have to worry about the funds, I would travel the world like nobody's business. And there's not a single place in this world that I wouldn't touch.
Very cool. Yeah, I think a lot of people, that's their goal. And I do want to travel. I don't know about everywhere, but I do want to travel, as much as I can. So that is awesome. You guys just combine, you kind of have to travel to only beach places, but, or you can just leave Jessica there while you go inland while she's, doing her writing.
That's a great idea.
So let's throw this maybe for Rachel. What are some of your daily habits? We all have to work now, but what do you do? Maybe some people can get some ideas about optimizing their process.
Absolutely. Well, coffee is definitely a part of my life. On projects when we were going to sites and everything pre-COVID, I would have my coffee in the morning, and then like somewhere right around 3-ish, I'd be looking for another cup of coffee. And people are like, "Are you crazy? You're not going to be able to sleep." I was like, "No, that's not going to affect me." Not at all. So yeah, coffee is a must. I tease that I'm fueled by coffee. And then I love my meditation and yoga practice. Those are kind of combined.
Cool.
I can't say that I do it daily. I'm trying to get into the daily habit, but yoga is definitely really a huge portion of my daily routine or regular routine.
Nice. Jessica, anything from you want to throw out there? Daily
Okay, so
routine?
my daily routine, definitely starting with coffee. I try to learn something every day. That's
Nice.
really, really important to me, like something either I'm interested in or something that will help me with my career. And then after that, I kind of like work all day and often into the evening. And I think in the evening, I try to do something that's fun, especially with
Mhm.
all that has happened with the pandemic. I try
Mhm.
to,
Mm-hmm.
watch something that I'm really interested in, or, just hang out with friends. And another daily habit that I've kind of gotten into during the pandemic is attempting to grow things. So before COVID, I mostly had house plants.
Mm-hmm.
I live in the desert, so a lot of succulents and a lot of cacti. But after the pandemic, I attempted to try to grow vegetables and fruits. So we have a lemon tree.
Cool.
And we have a tomato plant that we've kept alive. We have we have a sweet potato plant that we kept alive, and then herbs, rosemary, oregano, basil.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we kept
Nice.
a few things alive, a few things I've killed. We won't talk about that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Have you done any harvesting? Have you actually gotten to eat any of it?
I've eaten a few of the tomatoes,
Sweet.
and I'm still. Oh, and the bell pepper too. So the bell pepper is still growing. So let's see. That's
Basil.
the basil. Yes, we've definitely used the basil and the other herbs. So yes, some of it, just not all of it. Some of it needs more time to grow.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Just got underneath like 100 degrees recently.
Yeah.
So
Things
yeah,
things won't
things don't
just
grow in that.
shrivel up.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
gotcha. So what else do you two like to do for fun?
Oh goodness.
We've got gardening on
Non-COVID
there.
travel. Non-COVID
Yeah.
is travel,
Yeah.
and go on adventures. So what have we not done? What kind of things can we see? What's unique to a certain area?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the top things.
Yes, absolutely. Travel is the biggest thing I think that I love doing. Pre-COVID, but now during COVID, I just like to think about those things and remember remember what it was like in the before time.
So
Do a lot of
where
tours on YouTube though.
Yeah, that's true.
Like tours
mm-hmm.
and videos on YouTube. So
Mm-hmm.
we're planning. We're
Yes.
planning
Mm-hmm.
for the future on that one. But I
So where was your favorite place to travel so far that you've been?
Do you want to go?
I really love Chicago.
Okay.
Chicago is absolutely beautiful,
Mhm.
and I love all the beautiful museums. Like
Mhm.
that is so cool. Like one thing I can say about moving west, I'm originally from Georgia. I moved to Phoenix a few years ago, and one of the things about the West is that art makes me really excited. I really, really love art, and so Chicago has the best museums. Just awesome.
Cool.
What about you?
Yeah, I love Chicago in the States. I love their art museum. The Chicago Institute of Art is amazing. And also their food is awesome. Um, so I love that. And then I love Germany. When I went to
Cool.
Germany, I really, really enjoyed my time there. Now, understand that I've got a really good friend there. So when I did go, I wasn't around any Americans, or I was totally immersed. Like,
Right.
I mean, most people spoke German around me, which I could pick up a few words here and there, but I don't speak. So what I didn't know is what I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just had to kind of, figure it out and navigate. And most people speak English, but, it was just a really interesting and cool experience just to be totally immersed.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been to Germany or Europe for that matter, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, when the pandemic clears up. But those are some really awesome places. I've been around. I haven't been to Chicago, but a lot of the U.S. I've visited or gone through. So the U.S. is beautiful in itself. But for other people that are out there, I'd encourage you, if you've only been, let's say, in the U.S. or if you've only been in your specific country, get out there and see some things that are around you. It really makes you think a different way. And I think that that's important.
Absolutely, yes.
Totally.
Cool. So we're on kind of this travel niche. So I'm going to throw the question out there. If you could live anywhere, where and why? Uh-oh.
You want to say?
Uh-oh.
So
Hopefully they're the same place.
I am going to say France. It's always been my dream. I was a French major for a short time, and I absolutely love the idea of living in the hexagon for, somewhere in the hexagon
Hmm.
for just a few years anyway. So I think it would be somewhere in France. I think that that would be so much fun. And
Cool.
I've never been to Paris, but it's like, in my dreams, that's where I would love to live.
I definitely would say somewhere in the EU. I'm not exactly sure because it's like Germany is beautiful, the Netherlands are beautiful, Greece is beautiful. I mean, it's like you
Hmm.
keep going and going and going, to all the different countries. And I think every single one has something different to offer. So that's a hard choice, but I definitely would say somewhere in the EU, because if I live in the EU, then I can travel to the rest of them. So there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. And I'm gonna have to bump up my trip to Europe. And it sounds like I'm missing out. So cool. So let's start to round things out here. Just what are some things that maybe very few people know about each of you?
Um, well, we both were sign language interpreters,
Mhm.
and
Hmm.
that for a number of years, that's we met in college and in the sign language interpreting program, and that's exactly what we started doing as our first careers.
Yep. Let me see. After we both graduated from our sign language interpreting program, we lived for a short time in South Carolina.
Yeah.
So we have lived in Georgia, South Carolina, and Arizona.
Cool.
Let's see. I don't know. I think I mostly tell everybody, I'm pretty much an open book, so most people know,
Hmm.
my story. Let's see. Anything else interesting? I think sign language is the most interesting thing about me that, that's my third language. I'm very proficient. We're both very proficient, professional level proficient in American Sign Language. Yeah, I think that's the most interesting fact.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's one that you don't hear, at least for me, hear too often that people know sign language. But I don't know it myself. Do you ever like sign to each other across the room or
Oh
anything
yeah,
like that?
totally.
That'd be
We don't even know that we're doing it. It's kind of like, so you're in South Florida.
hmm.
If you speak Spanish and English, sometimes you slip into, Spanish because the
Mix
English
it.
word isn't accessible in your mind or what have
Hmm.
you. And then you come back into English and you don't even recognize that you did it. And people go, wait, what just happened? And that's the same thing that happens, when you're bilingual with any language, even in sign language. Sometimes you can think of things in one language versus another. And like, we'll look at each other and we're like, we'll sign it and we'll go, what's
What's
the
the
word
English
for
for
that?
this? Yeah.
For the concept, or, because also things don't necessarily translate from
Yep,
one
that's
language
true.
to another. No matter which language you utilize, it doesn't always translate from one to the other. So it's a concept and you're like, ooh, how would I say that in English? Oh, I don't know the best. Is there a real good equivalent? Because sometimes there's just not. So sometimes you just have an idea and then trying to get that, somebody to help you interpret it, you know,
Yeah.
get the other person. Or if we're way across the room, that's another thing with sign language. You can talk across the room
Mhm.
if you can get the person's attention, and it's not like you have to
You're
hear
yelling or
every single
anything.
word. You
That's
have to
awesome.
see them,
Hmm.
So I mean, it can literally be like across an entire club or something,
Right.
and you can ask, oh, they don't have this. What do you want instead of that? And so you don't have to go traipsing all the way back through a crowd.
It's very
Super
useful
cool.
in loud environments. You can sign it and you still are understood. And
Or restaurants that are really loud. Sometimes we're like, just get sick and tired of screaming at each other. And so we just start
Hmm.
signing and we're like, whatever.
very useful.
Hmm. That's pretty cool. I've never really thought about that. Being so applicable in other areas.
Yeah.
That's super awesome. So we're winding things down. The question that I like to always leave or end on, especially for people like you that are very successful in their career and they've been around at least Salesforce for a long time. What's some advice that you would have for people that are just getting started out, not even just in Salesforce, but in any career path that they're going down?
Well, I think the best thing to do is research the various different areas that you could possibly get into, and have an understanding of what those different things kind of look like, so you can make a choice, the best choice as possible when you're starting out, knowing that you can always change your mind, but point your ship in the right direction for where you are at that moment.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's so many paths in Salesforce, and so many opportunities. And I think that sometimes we kind of get ourselves pigeonholed into, well, you are an admin or a developer or this. I mean, that's not necessarily true. But I think the advice that I would give is do something every day that scares you. I think
Yes.
that I think that when I left from being a sign language interpreter to being an educator, I was scared, but I did it anyway. And when I went from that to Salesforce, I was scared. When I went to boot camp, I was definitely scared. So much imposter syndrome, right? Even when I got into grad school, I was scared. But every single time I did something to challenge myself, because that's how you get to the next level. That's how you improve yourself. That's how you get to where you're going. So every day do something that scares you. And that's the best advice I can give for any aspect of life, and especially in your career.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, and it's something that you can apply every day, at least on learning something new every day. It's something that you can do to just figure out either something brand new. You may find a new hobby that you like, or something brand new that you didn't know before. And learning something every day, you make it a habit in itself, so that you can continue to do self-improvement. And this goes along with researching as well, and just compiling as much information as you possibly can, so that you can understand things better and you start to learn about yourself a lot more. So it's super great advice coming from the both of you. I'm sure it'll help tons of people out there in the Salesforce ecosystem, or even if you're watching this and you're just thinking about Salesforce or you barely heard about it. So really great, just life advice there. So that's it, everybody. We have Rachel and Jessica, women in tech, dev leaders, MVPs, you name it, they've got it. There's going to be links down below in the description with all of their contact information. Oh, there's 100 days of Trailhead as well. So there's more content to come from, our collaboration and our communication with each other, just to help all of you in the Salesforce ecosystem. So thank you all so much. We really appreciate it. And it's one thing I like to say, it's like, you all didn't have to go on, have this conversation or go on my channel. You could have just, stayed away, done your work and everything, but you're going the extra mile, and the community really appreciates that from the both of you. So thank you all so much for spending that time and talking to me.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. I'm Walters954, and remember, I believe in you.